強く美しくデビルメイクライ。
タプコン。
After taking a stroll through the gardens, we arrive at the Colosseum, where we had a tense fight with Griffin. We take him down and he cries out to Mundus for one last surge of power. Despite his undying loyalty though, Mundus decides that his failure to destroy Dante renders him useless and instead kills him in cold blood. Upon seeing the three-eyed demon, Dante recalls that the one who took away the lives of his mother and brother 20 years ago was the very same Mundus himself. This is no longer just another job for Dante. It's now his duty as the son of the legendary Dark Knight to take out Mundus and deliver retribution. Picking up right where we left off, we take this elevator down and interact with this statue, telling us the King of Avalon shall turn the Wheel of Destiny and take the story to the beginning land. This is likely referencing the magical island Avalon from Arthurian legend, and the king being King Arthur himself. The island is where Excalibur was created, where King Arthur died from his wounds after the Battle of Camlan. Taking the wheel back to the bridge will lower it and allow us access to the castle again, aka the beginning land. If the atmosphere of the castle didn't creep you out before, it definitely will now. The lights have been turned off and now we're left with some foreboding music and the crackle of lightning. This is Plasma, a doppelganger type enemy with electrical powers. Naturally, use Ifrit or the grenade gun to deal with them. While you can still damage it with Alistair, it'll split itself into three, so best to avoid that headache altogether. Back through this oh so familiar hallway, we'll see that some doors are missing.
Drake? What? Where's the door hole?
Inside the cathedral, talk to the swamp water. This is Nightmare. The game describes it as a bioweapon, and this is what Nightmare Beta is based off of. It has two forms. In its normal form, it's a slime that can't be damaged. Activating one of these switches around the arena will make it swap into a more solid form we can actually hit. Its main method of attack is shooting off several projectiles at you. Just wait out any of its attacks and it will expose the cores inside its body, and these are what we're aiming for. The orbs have a different health value than the actual health bar. The value on the orbs is based on the number of hits and not how much damage is dealt. The orbs will change color, indicating how much health it has, and the lower the health of the orb, the higher the defense of the actual boss, if that makes any sense. So the way to go about this fight is doing high damage with a low number of hits, and for that reason Ifrit is perfect for this fight, because of the high damage on the charge moves you can do. Its slime form also has a move where it will swallow you up and take you to the Nightmare dimension, where you'll have to fight a super nerfed version of Phantom.
Now yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Normally you want to avoid this, but I like being swallowed here because defeating Phantom will actually do massive damage to Nightmare in one fell swoop, and it doesn't actually damage the cores. After defeating Nightmare, head outside to the broken bridge and show off your platforming skills, where we'll use the Staff of Hermes. The staff is a caduceus, and was indeed carried by the Greek god Hermes. It represents trade, commerce, and negotiations, not to be confused with the staff of Asclepius, the symbol of medicine. After using the staff, the game asks if you want to take the red pill or blue pill. The way forward is through the blue painting, but there's some goodies to nab in the red one. After taking the blue pill, we can run up these stairs for another painting that we can jump through.
Let's go!
These are the frost enemies, a variant on the blades and way more annoying. On top of the normal blade moveset, they can teleport and have this jumping attack where they punch the ground and create a shockwave of ice. When they take enough damage, they'll encase themselves in ice and recover health, but everyone knows fire melts ice, making Ifrit once again the weapon of choice. Nothing too noteworthy about this hallway except this cool picture of a bunch of seagulls. Hope you guys like ping pong, because you'll have to play it with this Dark Souls 2 looking dinosaur here. And then once you've destroyed it, you gotta rotate this lever. The next key item is revealed to be a Fushigi ball. The game wants you to use these invisible platforms to get to it, or if you're a cool guy like me, you can just double jump up to it. Then back in the hallway, we can drop the Fushigi ball in this fancy looking door.
A man with guts and honor. I like that. But it's a shame you serve Mundus.
Holy crap, Nello Angel was actually...
I have no idea who this is.
All jokes aside, Nello is actually Virgil. Unfortunately, they didn't convey this big reveal to Dante here, which I've always found odd. It's such an important reveal in the game, and to the series overall, it would have been cool to see Dante's initial reaction to finding out. So it comes off as Dante not knowing that this is Virgil. It's implied that during the attack on Dante's childhood home, that Virgil had been kidnapped in the aftermath. Since Dante thought he's been dead this entire time and hasn't seen him in 20 years, it makes sense here why he doesn't recognize Virgil. Him being kidnapped and enslaved at age 8 is something that is retconned though with the release of Devil May Cry 3. Anyway, the fight itself is way harder than before, and Virgil's damage can catch you off guard. On top of the moves he's had in the previous fights, he also has his summon swords to attack you this time around. With his summoned swords, he can launch them in a variety of patterns or have them as a protective shield around himself. I use Alistair here because I think the sword fight between the brothers fits thematically, but Ifrit is probably the better choice.
Virgil, Dante, happy birthday.
Wow! I want chocolate! No, I want chocolate!
With the power of both amulets, the Force Edge transforms into the Devil Sword Sparta. It still doesn't have a devil trigger we can access, but the trade-off is that it hits like a truck and has a slightly larger reach than the other weapons. But we like our DT, so we'll be switching off of it soon enough. In the last cutscene, we see that Trish has been in cahoots with Mundus the entire time, which kind of explains why she's been absent the whole game. And if you've paid attention, you'll notice that anyone who directly served under Mundus also had lightning-based powers, foreshadowing Trish's servitude to him. Anyway, we have another fairly short swimming section and find our way back to the vertical room. Activate this switch to flood the room and swim to the very top so we can grab the Philosopher's Egg. We take it downstairs and fry us up some good eats. So do you guys remember that whole spiel about the orbs having a separate health value from Nightmare's actual health bar? Yeah, the health of the orbs carries over for each fight. I don't know what Kamiya and his team are smoking, but if you didn't know this and unknowingly increased Nightmare's defenses, you locked yourself into a tougher fight. And well, spoiler, but you do fight him 3 times. Props to the team for coming up with a super unique mechanic I don't think I've ever seen anywhere else, but this must have been a pain in the ass for people to find out back in 2001. Getting swallowed up by Nightmare in this arena forces you to fight a nerfed version of Griffin, and once again you deal a huge chunk of damage to Nightmare for doing so. This fight is pretty much identical to the first, so there's not much more to be said here. After frying up our egg, we get the elixir. It can unseal the spells of a mirror, so that's the game telling us we have to go back to the bedroom and use it there. We're now inside the mirror dimension, and what do you know? It's exactly the same, but mirrored.
Oh, I don't know what I expected.
The mirror dimension is the world in between the human world and the underworld. It's a very unsettling place with this warping effect constantly happening on the screen, and the ambient noise here is enough to get anyone to stop playing on a dark and spooky night. And of course a disturbing area will introduce a disturbing enemy. These guys are called nobodies. Surprisingly, there is no mention of these guys being Resident Evil enemies, but they do bear some similarities to the Lickers and share the big gross eyeball with the G mutants in Resident Evil 2. Yeah, these guys are nightmare fuel, and I'm glad they're in an action game and not a horror one. With the Philosopher's Stone in hand, we take it back to the cathedral and use it on the swamp water here. Now this, boys and girls, is the portal to the underworld. All we have to do now is use the Philosopher's Stone and make our way there. We're now in Mundus' stomping grounds, the underworld.
Welcome to hell!
A very classic depiction of the Abrahamic hell with pulsating walls made of flesh and what I presume to be the wails of agony heard throughout.
Dante, help me!
Trish! Trish, stay back!
We have our third round with Nightmare down here, and getting swallowed in this one has you fighting a nerfed version of Nello. Make quick work of him and we get our massive damage off. This fight isn't all that different from before, really the only problem would be the camera. The arena is tiny and Nightmare's right in the middle of it, so he can block the player's view of Dante. The only added difficulty here would be if you broke Nightmare's cores in any of the earlier fights.
You fool! You're so easy.
Trish, you?
Humans. What sweets. You should know better than to trust a stranger. Your presence has become a hindrance to my master's bloody scheme. Now die!
Trish has now revealed her true colors and will start shooting lightning at you. Nightmare also gains a new move where he'll stick to the ceiling and trap you in a cage. Just pick a wall and start mashing to get out. Really, all that's left to do is destroy both cores.
Dante! Dante, why did you save my life?
Because you look like my mother. Now get out of my sight. The next time we meet, it won't be like this.
Dante!
Don't come any closer, you devil! You may look like my mother, but you're nowhere close to her. You have no soul. You have the face, but you'll never have her fire!
I haven't said it yet, but Drew Coombs, the voice of Dante, is a phenomenal voice actor, and the cutscene before really shows. Not to say I don't like Ruben Langdon, the current voice of Dante, but I've always preferred the performance Drew gives in this game, and I'd love to see him return as Dante in any sort of media. Anyways, Trish's attempt on Dante's life fails, and we learn that the woman on Dante's desk is his mother, Eva, her name being inspired by Eve from the Book of Genesis. And funny enough, Trish's name is also inspired by the character Beatrice in the Divine Comedy. At the start of Inferno, it's actually Beatrice who sends Virgil to Dante to guide him through hell. Then at the end of Purgatorio, she takes over as the guide into Paradiso. Kind of ironic that Trish is the one who guided Dante towards Malay Island, and in a broader sense, to hell. Back to the game, the goal right now is getting into Mundus's lair, which involves us running around the underworld to get to a switch. Along the way, there's this room with some plasmas and elevators. Do yourself a favor and take out these plasmas, because they will follow you through the entirety of this room. I'm a real Devil May Cry gamer, so I safely ignore them and don't use another yellow orb. Hope you guys are ready for the most satisfying door opening ever. Before we head inside, there is a secret mission here I'd like to show off. I've avoided showing any of them in this playthrough because I really only wanted to talk about the story overall and some of the more interesting tidbits. It's located in this wall, and you wouldn't even think twice about interacting with it. This is the only secret mission in the game that rewards you with something that you can use in gameplay. The secret mission itself is pretty simple, just run through a small gauntlet of enemies, the most notable one being the skeleton T-Rex. And after some light platforming, we arrive to the Bangle of Time. This is an item that Dante can use when equipped with a weapon that can use Devil Trigger, because the bangle itself, when activated, uses Devil Trigger and stops time. So as long as you have Devil Trigger, you can get free hits on all your enemies, and once you've run out of Devil Trigger or reactivate the bangle, all the damage is done at once and everything is insta-killed. There's a very similar item in Bayonetta called the Bracelet of Time, and the description of that one reads, Eva, a truly extraordinary witch, entered into a contract with the legendary Dark Knight, and then faced the amassed armies of Inferno. These bracelets were made by her hand, and those wearing them are said to become true masters of witch time at their very will. So Kamiya managed to link his two works together with this one description, and that's pretty freaking cool. Inside Mundus' lair is the extreme opposite of the area we were just in. With the pristine white lighting, marble floor, and cathedral music heard in the background, it gives off a heavenly church sort of vibe.
Again I must face a Sparta. Strange fate, isn't it?
Strange and ironic that it will end the same way.
Our enemy has favored you this time. Look, there.
Trish!
Don't even think about it. Blink. She dies.
You!
So sad that humans will always be humans. No more. Has the Spartan blood been spoiled over the ages? Now, die!
Trish!
Trish! No!
Useless scum. Failure is one thing, but taking an odd behavior like that. What is the matter? It is time to end your pitiful life.
How much longer are you going to keep zapping? Come out and show yourself, Mundus!
Those eyes. Deep in them, I see the same light as in Sparta's eyes.
Why my mother?
That useless being. If you need a mother, I can create it. As many as you want. Just like I created Trish.
Silence!
So in our battle with Mundus, the Devil Sword Sparta finally allows us to access its Devil Trigger form. The form of Sparta himself. But at the cost of playing Space Harrier. Kamiya loved Space Harrier so much, it was one of his reasons for even getting into the industry. In fact, he even put the same gimmick in Bayonetta. This fight has the controls inverted, but just like with the swimming, we can use the D-pad to make it a lot easier. You may notice we don't do any meaningful damage to Mundus. The goal of this fight is to build up the Devil Trigger gauge, and when activated, it deals massive damage to Mundus. The more DT gauge you have, the more damage it does. This can be a pretty long and tedious fight, and I would suggest using the Devil Star items found throughout the game to skip this fight altogether. Unless you plan on playing on higher difficulties, because then you might want to save them for that. If you decide to fight him normally, be prepared to dodge all sorts of attacks, from lightning to giant boulders thrown your way, and even Mundus himself. This is a two-phase fight, so try to be a little careful here, because your health will carry over into the next fight. Mundus' appearance is very strange here, considering he is a demon, but he's very obviously modeled after an angel. Perhaps he's supposed to be a reference to Lucifer, the fallen angel, which wouldn't be all that surprising, given how much Abrahamic and biblical references there are throughout the game. This is it, the final battle with Mundus, the demon who killed Dante's mother and turned his own brother against him. A battle 20 years in the making. This is the moment Dante has been waiting for his entire life. Like his father before him, he will seal away Mundus, or die trying. The only way to do any damage in this fight is with Sparta while in Devil Trigger. You need to be on the top platform to reach him, though you can just jump in the lava and use the untouchable items found throughout the game. Mundus will send a number of projectiles your way, like lava pillars or sending up fireballs into the sky and rain them down on your current position. Generally though, being in Devil Trigger allows you to tank through most of his attacks, and if you do run out of Devil Trigger, these floating balls he summons can be destroyed to refill some of your DT gauge. And just like the previous fight, you can use any Devil Stars you may have to get through this fight faster.
My mother risked her life for me, and now you too. I should have saved you.
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
This was my mother's. Now I'm giving it to you. My father's also here now. Rest in peace.
The ever infamous "fill your dark soul with light." So that line alone is the reason that some people think this game has quote-unquote bad voice acting. Funnily enough, Kamiya liked the voice crack take, so they kept it in.
So, really quickly, there's 300 bits from Pluby. This is the second time they've donated. Thank you very much. Who says, "Please thank Kamiya-san for," and I quote, "filling our dark souls with light."
Oh, Dante.
Dante, yeah.
ご存知ですね。Apparently, they actually recorded that line to sound like a lot better or a lot more serious.
They had another take that was a better take, but Kamiya liked the voice cracking. Thought it was more emotional, yeah.
Anyway, we have to get the hell out of, well, hell, before the timer runs out and the island blows up. The game gives you more than enough time for you to get to where you need to go. And there's only 2 mandatory fights during this sequence, but if you've already made it this far into the game, everything else here should be a cakewalk.
Has been opened. Dante, you are not getting away. This is where you will die.
I'm not going anywhere. Besides, there's no place to go. Look around. This will be your burial ground as well.
And you thought we wouldn't have a round 3 of Mundus. This fight is definitely Mundus' last-ditch effort into taking Dante down with him, but he's a complete joke here and hardly does any damage at all. As we pummel him, his statue exterior breaks down and reveals his true grotesque form underneath. Unfortunately, what Dante said is true. There really isn't anywhere to go from here, so how will he get out of this sticky situation?
Mother.
Dante, use my power!
Trish!
It looks like we have a winner.
Jackpot.
Goodbye. And when you do come back, give my regards to my son, will ya?
Trish!
Dante. Dante.
Trish, devils never cry. These tears are a gift only humans have.
We're too late.
No, Trish. It's never too late. humans never give up. Are you ready?
Yes!
Let's rock.
And here we have the last remaining element from Resident Evil 4, a getaway from an exploding island on a vehicle through a cave. So Trish was alive and managed to follow Dante just in time to save him. One thing I'd like to mention is Dante does not have a son, merely implying that if, or when, Mundus ever does return, then Sparta's bloodline will be there every time to drive him back. This section is really easy, just shoot down any obstacles in your way to make a clean getaway. Or not, I'm like 90% sure you can hit every rock here and still get through this part.
The sky is fair. It'll always be above everyone's head, no different.
Like the sky. I feel like my heart is becoming
clear. Let's not forget, though, the Underworld's evil is still alive. They will someday return.
There's no need to worry, right? Because the world has the legendary Dark Knight Dante and his sidekick. Devil never cry. Yes? Okay, great. Where's the place? We'll be right there. This one has the password. Sounds heavy.
Okay, let's get it over with in 10 minutes. Can't let a single one of those suckers live.
5 minutes.
More than enough.
And there we have it, a feel-good happy ending for our protagonists. I think this game has aged really well, and a title everyone should play coming into the series. The controls are nice and responsive, and while the story isn't some crazy and complicated JRPG plot, it's still a classic story of good versus evil anyone can enjoy. As of the time of this recording, the entire Devil May Cry franchise is on sale on PC, and I wholeheartedly suggest playing through them. Well, most of them. Originally, I made these videos as a deal of some sorts with my younger sister, that if I ever made a video on Devil May Cry, that she would get into the series. So if I was able to convince anyone else to play them, then I would consider this short series a massive success. Kamiya has expressed interest in coming back for a remake of the game, and I would love to see that happen, a return to the Gothic castle on Malay Island. Obviously, as a fan of the series, I would love to see improved story elements, like including the retcon that happens in Devil May Cry 3, or just the entirety of Virgil's reveal and the aftermath of it, or Trish suddenly coming back to life, which is actually explained in Beautiful Joe of all places. With a massive success that was Devil May Cry 5 back in 2019, it's crazy to think we haven't had any games announced since. Either way, if we get a remake of Devil May Cry 1 or Devil May Cry 6, I think I'd be happy. And with that, we leave the game off with our boys from Capcom, Shinji Mikami and Hideki Kamiya. Thank you all so much for watching, and God bless.